So this one is a super new moon in Taurus, which actually occurs or arrives on the 16th. Typically, the new moon in Taurus will bring grounding and peaceful sentiments. However, this time around is going to be a little bit more chaotic, and tumultuous energies will surface, as we've all kind of been noticing. It's leading us to make decisions that will enhance our lives. This super new moon, so what that means is when the moon is in perigee, it means that it's at its closest proximity to the earth, so it amplifies what we wish to create in the weeks ahead. As the second sign of the zodiac, Taurus has to do with the impulse to preserve life, to consolidate what we started through Aries fire. A fixed earth archetype, Taurus is associated with the survival instinct, the impulse to procreate, and with the ability to connect with our essential needs, with what is valuable, with our body's rhythms, and with the information coming through our senses. Taurus teaches us to build solid foundations, to pursue security and stability, to enjoy life's simple pleasures, to ground ourselves in the here and now, and to feel our bodies. This new moon is particularly significant for people born in the fixed signs, so Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. This new moon can bring significant turning points and new beginnings. In particular in their lives, they're going to feel it the most, helping them access new insights and realizations about their life path and direction. They have an opportunity to deepen their self-trust and make changes aligned with their long-term priorities. We are entering a month centered around learning to stay grounded in ourselves despite the inner and outer changes that are occurring. We are being reminded that stability is not something we find outside of us, but rather it's something we cultivate within. Self-worth and self-love will be other central themes. Taurus is connected to value, to what we find valuable, which includes the way we value ourselves, our talents, and our resources, as well as our relationship to wealth, money, and abundance. This new moon can also bring our awareness to how we measure our worth, how we invest our energy, what we are prioritizing, and whether we live in alignment with our core values. It is an opportunity to redefine our values and priorities and make choices that reflect what we actually need right now, rather than what we used to need or what we think we should need. This is also an invitation to renew our relationship with money and abundance, and to question what wealth is and what kind of wealth we are after. Let's remember, it's not just about monetary stuff. So this year, this new moon aligns with one of the most notorious stars in the night sky, Algol. And I didn't know about this one. This is a new one, but it's interesting. So Algol has earned itself a sinister reputation in the world of astrology. Known as the blinking star of the demon, Algol is associated with hardships, challenges, and struggle. But is there a different way to look at this? With this new moon creating a portal of fresh energy, perhaps it is time to look at Algol through a new lens. If we dig deeper, we see that Algol is not a star to be feared, but a star that helps us to connect with everything on the other side of that fear. Algol is closely connected to the myth of Medusa, the goddess Gorgon with the hair full of snakes. Medusa is often used as a symbol of protection from evil. She is also a symbol of transformation and of the many rebirths that we can undergo in this incarnation. If we think of the story of Medusa, she is remembered not for the tragedy she suffered, but for her strength. Even though her story is rife with struggle, abuse, and abandonment, she has gone down in history as a symbol of feminine power and fearlessness. So you may remember the movie Clash of the Titans, where Perseus saves Andromeda from the Kraken by killing Medusa. So maybe it is the hardships, not the easy times, that truly color and enrich our lives. It is only through these experiences that we can fully step into our power and realize our fullest potential. But first we have to get to the other side of fear. So I've said this before, fear is a great motivator. And until you're faced with something that is your greatest fear, it's really hard to understand that. It would be obviously much better if none of us had to suffer, but there is a wisdom in darkness and power in facing what we would rather avoid. My dad always said, humans were meant to suffer. So what is uncomfortable to feel? What scares you the most? So under this new moon, sit with whatever discomfort arises and ask yourself what it is trying to show you. What strength is being awakened within you? This line of questioning just may trigger an awakening. And we may even find that just like Medusa, we become our own force field of protection against the things that we once feared. And I'm going to be honest, having lived through my worst fear, I can say that what's on the other side of it is brilliant. And you'll never know how good things can be if you don't get to the other side of that. And the fear that people feel, stop them from pushing ahead and trying to see what's on the other side of it. But what is there is phenomenal. The good news is we don't have to go on that journey alone. Support and guidance from the least expected sources are on the way. So the asteroid Ceres in Taurus, in proximity to the new moon, offers us a chance to connect with others who share similar experiences. Ceres indicates how we reparent our inner child, bringing our innate nurturing skills to focus. Nurturing might come from those we didn't know cared until now. Frenemies might take on our side and defend us. Forgiving ourselves is the first step in unconditionally loving ourselves. Having a shoulder to cry on or a friend to listen to our woes is helpful, as they can offer advice and support as we work to mend ourselves. Echoing this sentiment is the union of the planet Mars and Chiron, which form a conjunction in Aries on the day of the new moon. When these two come together, we can turn our shame into confidence. Chiron is the internal wound that we must work through in this lifetime. It's given a push from Mars to conjure up methods to let go of anger and frustration. Relinquishing these emotions is a soulful and spiritual release that takes time. The catharsis we begin to feel as we take our first steps to rehabilitating the hurt we've endured is remarkable. Set the plan in motion and don't look back. The caveat is that the upcoming planetary switch of Mercury into Gemini on the 17th, Mars into Taurus, and Venus into Cancer on the 18th will urge us to fast forward without reflecting or contemplating the necessary changes, slowing down and meditating on the choices we are striving toward. There is beauty in times of growth. Sacrificing comfort to enter a new state and shifting mindsets can sting. As long as we put in the effort and accept the assistance of others, we'll be turning a corner soon. The Taurus new moon is closely aligned with Mercury, bringing a strong emphasis to communication. There may be something that we have been needing to say, something we have been holding in, or a truth we may not have fully allowed ourselves to acknowledge. Conversations may feel heightened, and misunderstandings could arise if we act too quickly or speak without reflection. But Taurus energy reminds us that we don't need to rush. There is power in the pause. If we take a moment to ground ourselves, breathe, and truly consider our words, we can communicate in a way that is both honest and constructive. This is an opportunity to clear the air, to speak from a place of steadiness rather than reactivity, and to release anything that has been weighing on our hearts. Venus, the ruler of Taurus and of this new moon, offers us more information about the energy and unfolding of the upcoming cycle. The goddess of love is in the late degrees of Gemini. So in Gemini, Venus highlights the value of learning, connecting, and exchanging ideas, inspiring us to be curious about others and get to know all kinds of people without prejudice or judgment. This combination of energy catalyzes a desire for intellectual stimulation and inspiration and motivates us to be more open-minded, sociable, and approachable. New relationships and connections may open new doors for us these days. Venus is moving to square Neptune, which is exact on the 22nd, but it's already active. It emphasizes the dangers of idealization and projection, as it fuels a tendency to see what we want to see rather than reality. This indicates challenges discerning truth from illusion, particularly within relationships, and can blur our clarity and discernment also in financial matters. There can be a pull to romanticize something that should not be, and avoidance of uncomfortable truths. In its highest expression, this helps us access artistic and creative sensitivity, as well as deep feelings of love, empathy, and compassion for every living being. The Sun and the Moon in Taurus are conjunct with both Mercury in Taurus and Uranus in the early degrees of Gemini, and Jupiter in Cancer. The conjunction of Mercury is an invitation to renew our mindset and question our existing ways of thinking. Mercury in Taurus can be stubborn and resistant to changing its mind. And during this transit, we may feel more drawn to seek confirmation of our ideas and opinions rather than embracing new ones. Mercury's conjunction with this new moon, as well as Uranus in Gemini, is an opportunity for us to ask ourselves more questions, rethink our priorities and values, and become more aware of how our mindset impacts our relationship to money, security, self-love, and self-worth. Meanwhile, the aspects between the Sun, the Moon, and Jupiter helps us stay optimistic and emotionally grounded. This supports our ability to have faith in life, even when we don't know where it is leading us, and to connect with the higher meaning and purpose of any changes taking place these days. And now the biggest influence and change is with Uranus. The upcoming cycle is likely to be filled with unexpected changes and unforeseen shifts in plans. Remember, Uranus is the planet of surprise. Despite the fixed and security-oriented nature of Taurus, Uranus will ask us to embrace flexibility and keep our minds open. Taurus seeks consistency and predictability, while Uranus disrupts our rhythms and routines, fueling the emergence of sudden downloads and insights while potentially opening new doors out of the blue. Uranus recently entered Gemini. The Sun, the Moon, and Mercury will cross him in the next few hours or days. At around this time, we're being asked to adjust quickly, rethink our priorities, and let go of expectations that no longer match reality. We are being asked to release our attachment to something we have outgrown, something that no longer has purpose, and redefine stability and deepen our self-trust rather than relying on circumstances remaining the same to feel secure. Whatever happens now is not random. It is karmic, and there is a higher intelligence at play. These days and weeks ahead, we're being asked to pay attention to the unresolved traumas and developmental issues that contribute to keeping us stuck in repeating cycles. Old memories that were buried or bypassed could suddenly emerge, and we may have an opportunity to see the deeper patterns at play in our lives from an objective standpoint. Uranus won't return into this sign until 2102. So we are entering the closing phase of a cycle that began in 2018. So think back about how things have been since 2018 and how they changed from 2018. Uranus' shift increases the forward momentum and facilitates breakthroughs and revelations that accelerate the speed of change. Uranus's shift of motion is especially relevant for those born in planets or angles in the late degrees of the fixed signs. Again, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. The same signs that are most affected by this new moon, by the way. They are entering a phase of fast and significant change. They're being invited to act on the realizations that have emerged in the past weeks and months and move in the direction of the future they envision. These people may be asked to release attachments that have been keeping them small, break free from outdated patterns, and embrace a more authentic way of living. Also referred to as the Great Awakener, Uranus's function is to foster progress, individuation, and liberation from the comfort zones that don't allow us to grow. Uranus needs 7 to 8 years to travel through a sign and 84 years to complete its transit through the entire zodiac wheel. His transit asks us to revolutionize our relationship with the signs he's transiting, as well as our understanding of what it is about. The modern ruler of Aquarius has been traveling through Taurus since 2018. In the sign of the bull, Uranus has been revolutionizing the very foundation of our lives, our values, our financial systems, and our definitions of stability. Since 2018, this transit has revealed outdated assumptions about security. Remember the chaos that COVID brought to all of us? It's part of that. So exposing the fragility of the systems that we rely on and teaching us that true stability cannot be built on rigid structures and attachments, but emerges from inner resourcefulness and resilience. Uranus in Taurus has been asking us to break free from scarcity mindsets, outdated ideas about self-worth and productivity, and old survival strategies rooted in fear, challenging us to create radically new foundations for our lives, material security, and self-worth. As Uranus slows down to shift his direction of motion, his energy gains prominence. Stationary planets are closer to the Earth, and they are more powerfully felt. At this time, Uranus' energy comes front and center. Change happens faster and unexpectedly. The pace of events accelerates, and our plans may be disrupted, forcing us to adapt and be more creative and versatile. With Uranus stationing direct in the late degrees of Taurus, the momentum accelerates and we're pushed forward. As the planet of awakening, individuation, and liberation shifts his direction of motion, the transformation that has been unfolding internally during the past months will become visible and generate tangible external changes. Uranus direct often coincides with breakthroughs, moments of clarity, and sudden impulses to act in order to shift something that can no longer remain the same. Planets that are about to complete their transit through a sign take on a more erratic quality. There's a sense of urgency relative to closing cycles, wrapping up unfinished business, and tying up loose ends. These days, what is outdated or built on unstable foundation will be revealed, and what is aligned with the future we are moving toward will prove its resilience. Also, as Uranus stations direct, he is forming a sextile with Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Aries, as well as a trine with Pluto in Aquarius. These alignments have been active for several weeks and with more or less intensity throughout most of 2025 as well. Uranus's alignment with Saturn invites an intentional restructuring of our lives. Rather than burning bridges and destroying what no longer works, this aspect supports a steady and sustainable pace of transformation. Change becomes something we intentionally participate in, rather than something that happens to us. The Uranus-Neptune sextile helps us attune to what feels aligned on an intuitive level, beyond logic. This supports our ability to tap into imagination and creative inspiration and foster new visions that have the potential to fuel collective progress and evolution in significant ways. The Uranus-Pluto trine supports the dismantling of outdated power structures and the emergence of new systems and models that are non-hierarchical, decentralized, and rooted in a shared purpose. Since Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, where Pluto will be transiting until 2044, Uranus's ingress into Gemini will notably accelerate the speed of the transformation instigated by Pluto, ushering in a technological and scientific revolution that will radically change our daily lives and structure of society itself. AI. This is a time to choose innovation over inertia, authenticity over comfort, and long-term sustainability over short-term security. The choices we make now will have a lasting impact on our lives and create a foundation for the next phase of our personal and collective evolution. So, to summarize briefly, this lunar month focused on recognizing where we may be resisting change or choosing immediate pleasures and momentary comfort over growth and evolution. With Uranus's activation, we can expect the unexpected. Rather than seeking certainty and predictability externally or wishing the world or other people to provide security, we have an opportunity to cultivate a deeper trust in our ability to respond, adapt, and support ourselves through change. The Taurus new moon reminds us of the importance of connecting with the earth and the cycles of nature and staying grounded, not as a way to avoid change, but rather to navigate it more consciously from a place of greater presence. In its highest expression, Taurus reminds us that stability and security are not about resisting movement, but about maintaining connection with ourselves, our bodies, and our values as life happens and circumstances shift. Taurus is deeply connected to our sense of security, particularly when it comes to our finances and material world. This new moon offers a beautiful opportunity to get grounded in this area of our lives. We may feel called to organize our finances, set new goals, or think more seriously about what we are building for the future, where we are investing our time, energy, and resources. This is a powerful time to plant seeds around abundance, not just financially, but in all areas that bring us a sense of stability and peace. Small practical steps now can lead to long-term rewards. Taurus reminds us that consistency is key. We don't need to have everything figured out overnight. What matters is that we are moving in a direction that feels grounded, intentional, and aligned to our values. I'm going to read out the individual signs, and I have been adding timestamps to each of the individual signs in the videos so you can better navigate which sign you want to listen to, because remember, this is for sun, moon, and rising. Aries. The week opened on a quieter register than you're used to. With the moon in Pisces activating your solitude sector, you may feel more inward, more observant, less interested in being on. It's a good moment to sit with what's been on your mind without rushing to act on it. Subtle emotions, lingering thoughts, even intuitive nudges have more space to surface when you're not constantly moving. Then midweek, the energy flips as the moon enters your sign and brings your fire back. Suddenly, that goal you've been thinking about feels doable. You might speak up or initiate something you were hesitating on. By the time the Taurus new moon arrives on the 16th, there's a sense of direction behind your actions. This lands in your money and security sector, so what you begin now has potential to grow steadily over time. There's also a deeper awareness of what you're building toward and why it matters to you long term. The impulse to chase quick results may still be there, but this moon is asking for consistency over urgency. Build it step by step, keep showing up, and keep refining. 6 months from now, the version of you who stayed committed to the process will be the one enjoying the outcome. So, Taurus. The week began on a soft social note. With the moon in Pisces activating your friendship and community sector, you may feel more open, receptive, and in the mood to connect in ways that feel genuine rather than performative. Conversations flow easily, plans feel lighter, and there's a sense that you don't have to try so hard to belong. Let yourself enjoy that. Then midweek, as the moon moves into Aries, your energy turns inward. You might feel the need to step back, recharge, or spend time alone processing everything that's been moving through you. By the time your annual new moon arrives on the 16th, it's your moment to begin again, but this time with more clarity about who you are and what you want. This lunation lands in your identity sector, so the intentions you set now are deeply personal. There's also a noticeable difference in tone compared to past years. Uranus is no longer in your sign, so this new beginning feels more stable, more rooted, even as you remain open to change. Take your time defining what this next version of you looks like, and make sure to set your new moon intentions prior to the 26th. The more honest and intentional you are, the more aligned everything becomes in the months ahead. Gemini. The week began with your attention on the bigger picture. With the moon in Pisces activating your career and public path, you're feeling more reflective about where you're headed and how you're being seen. There's a softer lens to your ambitions, less pressure to perform, and more curiosity about what actually feels meaningful. Pay attention to what inspires you rather than what impresses others. Midweek, as the moon enters Aries, your energy shifts outward again. Conversations pick up, plans form quickly, and you might feel pulled to reconnect with friends or step into spaces where your ideas can move and evolve in real time. By the time the Taurus new moon arrives on the 16th, everything quiets down just enough for you to hear yourself clearly. This moon lands in your solitude and inner world, making it less about external moves and more about internal alignment. It's a chance to reset mentally and emotionally before your season begins. There's something powerful about choosing rest on purpose and letting things settle instead of forcing clarity. What you release now and what you gently commit to behind the scenes shape how you show up in a much bigger way over the next 6 months. Cancer. The week began with your mind drifting a little further than usual. With the moon in Pisces activating your expansion sector, you may feel pulled toward bigger ideas, future plans, or simply a desire to experience something different. There's a sense of emotional openness that makes it easier to imagine what's possible without immediately questioning it. Let yourself explore those thoughts without needing to define them right away. Then, midweek, as the moon enters Aries, your focus shifts towards your responsibilities and public life. You may feel a renewed push to take action on something you've been considering, especially if it connects with your long-term goals. By the time the Taurus new moon arrives on the 16th, the energy softens again, but in a more grounded, intentional way. This lands in your friendship and community sector, making it a powerful moment to set intentions around the people you surround yourself with and the spaces you choose to invest your energy in. View this as your opportunity to build connections that feel supportive and sustainable, not just emotionally fulfilling in the moment. The more honest you are about who aligns with your vision, the easier it becomes to grow alongside the right people over the next 6 months. Leo. The week began in a more introspective, emotionally aware space than you usually prefer. With the moon in Pisces activating your depth and intimacy sector, you may feel more sensitive to what's being exchanged in relationships. There's a quiet awareness of where your energy is going and whether it's being reciprocated in a way that feels good to you. Let yourself sit with that and without rushing to fix or define anything. Then, midweek, as the moon enters Aries, your energy lifts and expands. You're ready to move, explore, and act on something that feels aligned with your growth. A conversation or even a spontaneous plan can shift your perspective in a meaningful way. By the time the Taurus new moon arrives on the 16th, your focus turns towards your career and long-term direction. This is a grounded moment to set intentions around what you're building and how you want to be seen. There's less urgency here and more clarity around what actually lasts. You don't need to chase visibility right now. You need to define what you want to be known for. The steps you take from here, even if they feel small, create a steady path toward a new lifestyle that reflects your values over the next 6 months. Virgo. This week, you may have noticed the cosmos shifting your attention to your relationships, but in a softer, more intuitive way than usual. With the moon in Pisces activating your partnership sector, you're more tuned into the emotional undercurrents in your one-on-one dynamics. You might notice what feels easy, what feels off, and what you've been overthinking that actually just needs to be felt. There's less need to analyze everything and more openness to simply experiencing connection as it is. Then midweek, as the moon enters Aries, the tone shifts. You're ready to address something directly, whether it's a conversation, a boundary, or a decision that's been lingering. By the time the Taurus new moon arrives on the 16th, the energy opens up in a way that feels refreshing and even a little indulgent. This lands in your expansion sector, but not as a go do everything at once way, more like what would feel really good to grow into. There's pleasure in learning, planning a trip, or saying yes to an opportunity that expands your world without overwhelming it. Think good food in a new city, a class that actually excites you, or a conversation that lingers in the best way. This new moon invites you to build a life that feels rich, not just productive. And when you follow that, what genuinely lights you up, the next 6 months unfold with a lot more ease. Libra. The week began in a quieter, more internal rhythm. With the moon in Pisces activating your work and wellness sector, your attention goes to how you're actually living day to day, your habits, your energy levels, the way your body feels moving through it all. You might notice what needs a little more care, rest, or more intention. Then midweek, as the moon enters Aries, your focus shifts to your relationships. Conversations become more direct, energy picks up, and you may feel ready to address a pain point or dilemma that's been lurking just beneath the surface. By the time the Taurus new moon arrives on the 16th, the energy deepens, but in a way that feels grounding and even a little indulgent. This lands in your intimacy and shared resources sector, bringing a sense of richness to emotional and physical connection. You'll find pleasure in slowing down, being present, and allowing yourself to experience closeness without rushing through it. It can also show up in how you handle money or shared responsibilities, choosing stability and comfort over stress. This new moon invites you to build trust, both with others and with yourself, in a way that feels steady and satisfying over time. Scorpio. The week began in your favorite language, feeling first, thinking later. With the moon in Pisces activating your romance, creativity, and inner child sector, your imagination is wide open. You might catch yourself dreaming about what you wish love felt like, what you want to create, or the version of you that feels the most alive. It can get a little idealistic, sure, but there's something beautiful about letting yourself go there without immediately shutting it down. Then midweek, the moon enters Aries and brings you back into your body. Suddenly, it's less about the dream and more about how you support it. Hydration, sleep, movement, routine, all the unglamorous things that actually make you feel strong enough to hold what you're calling in. Staying present with yourself does more for your manifestation than doom scrolling or getting lost in parasocial dynamics. Your energy is your power source. Protect it. By the time the Taurus new moon arrives on the 16th, everything comes into focus through your relationship sector, but in a way that feels different from the past few years. Uranus is no longer in Taurus, shaking things up, so there's a sense of steadiness that may feel unfamiliar at first. You're not guessing where you stand or overanalyzing mixed signals. You're building from a place of clarity,
whether that's a partner or within yourself as you define what you're available for. This is a moment to set intentions around the kind of love that actually feels safe, grounded, and mutual. And over the next 6 months, you'll start to see how the boundaries you set now, the standards you hold, and the honesty you practice shape a much healthier version of connection than you've experienced in a long time. Sagittarius. The week began with your attention close to home, even if your mind is still halfway somewhere else. With the moon in Pisces activating your home, family, and emotional foundation, you may feel more nostalgic, reflective, or simply in the mood to slow down and be in your own space. It's a softer kind of energy that lets you reconnect with yourself without needing to go anywhere. Then midweek, the moon enters Aries and your spark comes back fast. Suddenly you want to move, create, flirt, say yes to something fun, maybe even revisit an idea that felt too far-fetched a few days ago. There's a playful courage that reminds you how easy it is for your energy to shift when you allow what excites you. By the time the Taurus new moon arrives on the 16th, the focus lands on your routines, your health, and the way your daily life is actually structured. But this isn't about strict discipline or forcing yourself into something rigid. There's something satisfying about creating rhythms that feel good to live in. The meals you enjoy, the movement that feels natural, a schedule that leaves room for both productivity and pleasure. This week's new moon invites you to build a lifestyle that supports your energy instead of draining it. The small choices you make now, especially the ones that feel sustainable, start shaping a version of your life that feels a lot better to wake up to over the next 6 months.
Capricorn. The week began with your mind moving in a softer, more curious direction. With the moon in Pisces activating your communication sector, conversations feel more intuitive and less transactional. You might find yourself lingering a little longer in exchanges, noticing tone, subtext, the way something feels rather than just what's being said. Then midweek, the moon enters Aries and pulls your focus inward toward home and personal matters. You may feel the urge to reset your space, tend to family, or simply carve out time where you don't have to be on for anyone else. That shift helps you come back to yourself. By the time the Taurus new moon arrives on the 16th, the energy opens up into something much more enjoyable. This lands in your sector of creativity, romance, and pleasure, and there's a noticeable ease to it. After everything you've been holding together, this feels like a reminder that life's meant to be lived, not just managed. You might feel drawn to create, to flirt, to express yourself in ways that feel natural and unforced. There's something very satisfying about choosing joy without overthinking it. The intentions you set now, especially around what you want to experience more of, begin shaping a version of your life that feels richer, warmer, and more aligned over the next 6 months.
Aquarius. The week began with you focused on what actually supports you. With the moon in Pisces activating your money and self-worth sector, you may feel more reflective about your resources, your habits, and the way you value your time and energy. You're in tune with what feels secure, what feels draining, and what feels worth your time and energy. Then midweek, as the moon enters Aries, your pace picks up. Brilliant ideas come in waves, and you might feel the urge to act on a project you can't stop thinking about. The Aries moon encourages you to make a shift from internal awareness to external movement, and it helps you bring your thoughts into real-world action. By the time the Taurus new moon arrives on the 16th, your focus turns inward and toward your home and your sense of grounding. This is a more comforting energy than you've been used to, and it lands in a way that feels surprisingly good. You might feel inspired to create a space that reflects who you are now, to reconnect with family or chosen family, or simply to slow down enough to enjoy where you are. This lunation wants you to indulge in the pleasures of good food, a calm environment, and a sense of ease in your surroundings. The intentions you set now begin shaping a foundation that feels more stable and supportive over the next 6 months.
Pisces. The week began with the moon in your sign, so everything feels a little louder. Your emotions, intuition, and your imagination. You're picking up on everything, dreaming more vividly, feeling more connected to your ideals, and maybe even romanticizing a few things along the way. It's a beautiful place to start the week, as long as you don't lose yourself in it. Then, midweek, the moon moves into Aries and brings you back into your body. Suddenly, it's about what's real, what's tangible, what you actually need: money, energy, time. You're more aware of what you're giving and what you're getting, and that awareness helps you recalibrate without overthinking it. By the time the Taurus new moon strikes on the 16th, your voice comes into focus in a way that feels both grounded and a little indulgent. This lands in your communication sector, making you act in a way that's more intentional, sensual, and even a bit flirtatious. You're carefully choosing your words, your tone, and your timing, and people can feel the difference. There's pleasure in expressing yourself clearly and in saying what you mean without diluting it. The intentions you set now around communication, connection, and curating your immediate environment begin shaping a rhythm in your life that feels smoother, more aligned, and a lot more satisfying over the next 6 months. So, in the meditation today, I'm going to take you to meet your spirit guide or guides. And I'm doing this because this new moon has so many benefics, and when you consider it's a super moon and with Uranus switching gears, this is a time to set big, bold intentions. And I'm hoping that when you meet with your spirit guide, you can have a meaningful dialogue with them to understand how they see you and what they want for you and what they see for you. So, with that, find a comfortable position. And close your eyes and settle in. Begin by taking a long, deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs, and exhale completely through your mouth. Again, inhale deeply and let it go, releasing any tension from the day. Bring your awareness to the top of your head. Relax your scalp, your forehead, the tiny muscles around your eyes. Let your jaw soften. Let this wave of relaxation flow down into your neck and shoulders. Allow your shoulders to drop and completely melt away any burdens. Feel your arms become heavy and loose, resting by your side or in your lap. Relax your chest, your stomach, and your lower back. Let your hips sink heavily into your chair. Feel the relaxation travel down your thighs, your knees, your calves, all the way to the soles of your feet. Your entire body is now completely relaxed, heavy, and at peace. Now imagine yourself standing at the edge of a beautiful, vibrant, lush green forest. The air is crisp and clean. You can smell the earth and the scent of nearby flowers. You begin to walk barefoot along a soft, earthy path. With every step, You feel deeply grounded and safe. You listen to the gentle rustling of the leaves and the soft songs of the birds in the canopy ahead. Ahead of you, the path opens up into a radiant, sunlit clearing. In the center of this clearing sits your beautiful, safe space. It could be a cottage, a magical garden, a serene beach, whatever and wherever you have decided. Walk towards this space. As you approach, you notice a warm, inviting light emanating from within the space. And now as you enter the space, you feel a sense of home, familiarity, and comfort surrounding you. Make yourself comfortable. Sit or lay down in the space. And close your eyes. Ask in your mind for your guide or your guides to come forward. When you feel the shift in energy, open your eyes to find that your guide has joined you. Notice how they look. Do they have a human form? Are they male or female? Is it an animal? Or a radiant being of pure light? Or do you just feel their energy? Trust whatever your mind shows you. Above all, tune in to how they feel. You are enveloped in an immediate, overwhelming sense of unconditional love, warmth, and acceptance. They are an old friend who has been with you for a very long time. Take a moment to simply be in their presence. Let their loving energy wash over you. Silently in your mind or softly aloud, ask your guide these questions. What do I need to know right now on my life's path? What is the best way to handle the situation I am facing? And finally, what is your name? How can I call you? pause for a moment and listen with an open heart. The answer may come to you as a clear voice, a distinct mental image, or simply a deep, intuitive knowing. Do not second guess the impressions you receive. If your guide offers you a gift, a symbol, or a message, accept it with gratitude. Now place a hand over your heart and express your appreciation and love for your guide. Know that even as you leave this sacred space, they are always with you, and you can call on them at any time, and even return to this space to visit them whenever you need clarity or comfort. Slowly turn away from your safe space and begin walking back down the path, carrying their love, warmth, and wisdom with you. Follow the path back through the forest, feeling the ground beneath your feet. Bring your awareness back to the physical room you are in. Wiggle your fingers and toes, gently waking up your body. Take a deep, energizing breath in and exhale with a sigh. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes and come back. Take a moment to write down any messages that you, or insights that you received. Perhaps they are something that you can use in your intentions or setting your intentions. Hopefully you got something that will help with that. Yeah, I found it really hard. It took me a really long time before I actually connected with my guides. So if you didn't get anything specific, don't feel defeated by that. And I think in my case, and I think in most cases, it's either we try too hard, so we don't feel it or see it, or we second guess ourselves, and kind of like it totally eludes us because we're like, was that really it? You know, like surely there was something more, and then we second guess ourselves, right? I'm going to end it here. So remember, setting your intentions, no more than 10. Make them big, make them bold. This is the energy for it. This is the time to do this one. Set big, bold ones. Go crazy. We'll leave it there. Have a good night, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.